what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. I want to start with some notes on Ole Miss here. First off, just, perusing CFBstats.com, the single greatest stats website that has ever existed. Came across a couple of things. Ole Miss dead last in the SEC in penalties, averaging 8 penalties for 80 yards a game, 16 out of 16. Certainly something to keep an eye on. Furthermore, as you can see, 8 for 80. These are big penalties. It seems like that secondary has had a lot of that. That's been the weakness of the defense. They've drawn a lot of holdings, a lot of pass interferences. And so certainly when you're looking at areas to exploit with the receivers that you have and the passing attack that you have, that would be one of them. Interestingly, LSU 5th in the SEC in penalties for 7 for 55. So nearly the same amount, but just a lot of pre-snap stuff for LSU that you got to clean up. A lot of 5-yarders in there that you got to clean up. But still 5th in terms of penalty yardage per game. Ole Miss dead last in the SEC. In their 2 conference games, we always talk about this, Jake, with a lot of these spread offenses, be it Tennessee or Ole Miss. Really how they work is they need to be able to run the ball. Well, if you felt like Ole Miss's offense has looked underwhelming in the 2 conference games compared to the lower warm-up games that they had, it's because they have run the ball very poorly against Kentucky and South Carolina. In fact, 14th in the SEC if you filter conference-only games. 35 carries, only 116 yards, 3.47 yards per carry. Now, LSU has been mercurial when it comes to defending the run, I would say. But certainly, that would be that would be an area where, if you're trying to game plan, how do I stop the Ole Miss offense? I know you have to be worried about Trey Harris and the secondary's weakness and whatnot. But if they can run on you and stay on schedule, that's what sets up the home run shots and really exposes you. So you have to try to continue to keep this trend of making Ole Miss's run game kind of sputter and then deal with the back end after that.
Yeah, so as far as the Ole Miss rushing attack, the offensive line hasn't been great in run blocking. And also, you're missing some really good running backs. Jenkins is not there anymore. He's in Columbus. And I think Henry Parrish Jr. he's a good back. He doesn't have the ceiling that Jenkins has.
Logan Diggs is hurt. He's out.
Logan Diggs, somebody obviously LSU fans know. He hasn't been in there. Bentley's a guy that we expected way more from on the year. 16 carries, 62 yards, 3.9 yards per carry. Matt Jones is getting more run than we thought he would get, but
you're just giving it to, what's his name, Pegues? How do you say his last name? The D lineman, J.J. Pegues?
Yeah. He's got 7 carries, 19 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. They get to the goal line. They just give it to the big man. I got to like it. 7 carries.
A little jealous.
4 rushing. Absolutely.
I mean, you were a 40 number there for a little bit. That could have been you.
Yeah, man. I used to score touchdowns on the wishbone back in 9, 10, 11 football.
I mean, that could have been you at LSU.
Yeah, freaking Les would have put me in the game.
I know.
Anyway.
But, so it's a good room. It's not a great room. And it was a great room a year ago.
Yeah.
And again, they have dealt with injuries there, but I think it's a combination of a lot of things. And you're right, when they stay on schedule, they like to get to 2nd and 3, take a shot because they know they got 3rd and 3, even if they miss it. They haven't been able to do that, and so some of the explosives have been taken away. Now, Trey Harris has still gotten his, but for Juice Wells, for Jordan Watkins for sure, he's only got 10 catches on the year. Some of those catches have gone away.
I mean, Prescorn's only got, I think, 11 catches on the year. Again, we mentioned it. It's actually absurd. Trey Harris over 50 catches, and then the second and third receivers are 17 and 18.
Yeah, Juice Wells 17, Caden Lee 18.
Yeah. So, and speaking of injuries, reading some Ole Miss beat reports and beat writers and whatnot, they seem to be a bit worried about their injuries. They've not had a bye yet, of course. Talking about how the multiple weeks in a row is kind of taking a toll. Jake, in fact, Chuck Runesville of the Ole Miss Spirit reported late last night that Ole Miss will be without Princely Umanmielen once again.
Right.
He did not play last week. He is not, even though he's listed as questionable on the injury report released by Lane Kiffin. It seems like the inside info is he will not play. Now, last week he didn't play either, and Suntarine Perkins came in and had 12 tackles,
I was about to say.
which is kind of insane. But Princely's really good as well, right? So maybe a bit of a break there. Trey Harris remains questionable on that list. But then Jaden Williams, their starting left tackle, going to be out as well for Saturday.
Matt Jones, running back, doubtful.
And again, I mean, Trey Harris is the main name to watch there, but look, you've had some bad injury luck, but at this point in the year, nobody's immune. Ole Miss struggling with some of their own. The Jaden Williams one is especially interesting to me, Jake, because if I'm thinking of position groups that are going to be most important to win this game, I'm finding it very hard. And I can argue for it's football, right? I can argue for the importance of any position group. Or you can always just say quarterback if you really wanted to. But I'm finding really hard for it to get away from that edge position. It's been the unquestioned strength of the defense.
Yeah.
They're down a starting left tackle on an offensive line that I think already has some questions. It has been kind of the disappointment in the bigger games this year compared to how much effort they put into it in the offseason. And if your biggest weakness is the secondary, well, we talk all the time about the symbiotic relationship between pass rush and pass coverage. And so, how you help that secondary out? You get to the quarterback in those obvious passing downs. And so, I mean, for me, the play of Braden Swinson, Savion Jones, Paris Shand, Deshaun Womack, that is going to be, in my mind, if your defense is going to have success, it's going to start with those guys.
If you go back and you remember the game 2 years ago and you were down, I believe, at halftime, you come back, you throttle them by 3+ scores. The thing that changed in that game is you got after Jackson Dart in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that's one of Harold Perkins' big games where Lane Kiffin's like, he's just everywhere. Everywhere you look up, he was there. And that
Forget about that Perkins game, actually.
Yeah, that was kind of the difference in the game is Jackson Dart got frustrated, couldn't set his feet, and you got after him multiple times. And Kentucky kind of did the same. So it's easier said than done because of how fast they get rid of the football, because there's always that threat of run. But he has not thrived under pressure when you look at his college career. The times that he has struggled, it hadn't been often, but when he has, it's been when he's had pressure in his face. He doesn't handle it well, as well as you would think a kind of a dual threat, because he does have dual threat ability. He doesn't handle as well as most dual threat quarterbacks.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.